Hello and welcome to Simplifying Lives. I'm Anish Bhayati, and in this episode, we are going to talk about timeless wisdom for graceful aging. We have a special guest, Mr. S. Ramanath, joining us today, who will share his unique perspective on this topic. Ramanath isn't just a retired consultant or Rotarian, he's a man of many facets. He joined as a management trainee with the Forbes Campbell Group and after a 6 year stint, joined HDFC, where he continued to work for the next 34 years. He openly acknowledges his tendency to be a workaholic, constantly striving for excellence in execution and innovation. Outside work, he seems to have a great interest in sport, particularly cricket, which he's fanatic about. Even after his retirement, he continues to pursue his passion by traveling to Australia and New Zealand to watch the World Cup. He also stays active at home by playing tennis with his morning walkers group on a weekly basis. He also has a desire to travel to London to watch Wimbledon, which is something he hopes to cross off his bucket list in the future. A friend, philosopher, and guide to countless people in his life, join me in welcoming Ramanath in this show. Welcome, Ram. How are you doing?
Thank you, Anish. I'm delighted to be on your show.
Okay, great. And how are you doing today?
Today was a good day.
That's good.
I did my morning walk, and after the podcast, I'm going to do my evening walk.
That's good.
And I also managed to sneak in a few games of table tennis today.
Oh, that's amazing. Who won?
Well, it was comme si comme moi.
Okay, that's good. So, Ramanath, let me start our conversation with some common misconceptions about aging that you have come across. Like, what are some most common misconceptions about aging which you have witnessed in your life?
Generally, I found that as I aged and there were colleagues around me who were also aging, and based on the date of joining, you would have different age levels in any organization. I found that there were a few misconceptions. That's all I would say, misconceptions.
Yes.
That maybe elderly colleagues are not fully agile as they were a couple of decades ago. And maybe they do not have the full industry awareness of the dynamics of change are happening so rapidly in each and every industry that
Correct.
Can we, as elderly colleagues, can we keep pace with the growth? And thirdly, would they be open to advances in technology? Because more and more, whether it is a services organization or a manufacturing organization, technology is coming to the forefront. And with the AI group chat, which is now in circulation, I wonder what would happen to the workforce in a few years from now. But my own perception is that at least in the institutions, the two institutions where I honed my learning, we had a great bond between the elderly colleagues and me, and also the colleagues who were junior to me, Anish. And we found that there was always a give and take. And
Yes.
if I were to quickly say that what do senior colleagues bring to the table? I think they bring to the table their experience, their ability to weather storms, because they have done it all, seen it all. And I don't think it is, I think it's a misconception that age is a barrier in learning. As someone said, it is what you learn after knowing it all that counts. So I think that the middle and senior years of anyone working in any organization, these are the great years to step out and embrace learning. And once you do that, I'm sure with the buddy system which is in place in most companies, where they have a mix of old and new in teams, and triads are the new fashion. So I think that elderly colleagues is definitely a boon and not a bane.
No, of course, 100%. But I think you mentioned something about the challenges, like the way the things are moving so fast. It's like super fast. specifically to do with technology. So maybe, thinking that elderly person will be slightly more reluctant to adapt to the technology is a misconception, because it's all about how much zeal you have towards learning a new thing. Like if you're really interested in knowing about chat GPT, yes, you will learn about, so it's not about the age. It's about your enthusiasm. It's all about, how much you are inclined to learn about that. So great points there.
I would like to share one point that I remember that I was myself fairly elderly when we started having computers in my second organization, and I remember that we were selected for training in Word and Excel because we had no idea of Word and Excel, whereas it was probably child's play for the people who are passed out from IITs and IIM. It was probably child's play, but we did have special classes for us to learn what is Excel and Word, which is what the world runs on. And of course, email we learned gradually.
But you are glad today that you learned it, right? Because now you are able to send emails to people, you are able to use Excel. So it's a good thing. So learning should never stop. I think that's one thing which I took from the first question which I asked you. Now, the second question is, what are some key elements of graceful aging that people should be aware of? Like, what are the key elements?
I think I will share the principles which I have embraced in my life, because I think it is life's principles which determine your attitude to aging gracefully. And I have a few random points which I'll share with you, Anish. And the first one is always diet. I think that unless you eat healthy and keep a balance between, overindulgence and starvation, I think that I would start with saying that every person who ages gracefully has to have a balanced diet.
Super.
And along with that, I would immediately come to my favorite passion of, as Johnny Walker says, keep walking. So I think that although exercise is a very broad term, I would say that what I find is that exercise is the most easiest thing in the world for any senior citizen or working colleague to do. And you just need a place to walk around. And I personally am a great lover of walking. And I do one small round in the morning, one small round in the evening, and I catch up on about 6 to 7 kilometers per day. That's my second point. And I think that a very important point is a social circle of trusted friends. There are innumerable WhatsApp videos going around how dosti is important as we age. And I think that there's nothing to beat a group of physical friends whom you meet regularly. It may not be every day, but it should be regular. I have WhatsApp groups of retired HTC colleagues. I have a WhatsApp group of my school batch of 1968 in Kolkata, and I still managed to meet them once in 2 years. So I think that you should have a circle of like-minded people around you. And I think that social trusted friends is of great importance. And along with that, I'll link up selective family members. You may not be able to have the entire clan of the family tree as your close confidant, but I think as long as you're on the same wavelength as selected family people, then I would include family members, because sometimes it's the clan members who come running around to your support for any exigencies which may happen.
True.
Then I would touch on financial stability, because one must never be under pressure in old age. I think it's the duty of every working professional that you ensure that you have enough savings in your post-retirement innings. So I think that I will not get into how, on, why, etc., because there are experts dealing with that. But I would definitely tell all my listeners that please keep a certain stable amount of financial resources so that you can do your day-to-day routine. And we'll talk later of, in fact, my next topic is travel. So I said that it's a sense of curiosity to discover new things and to meet new people, which is what keeps me energetic. and I like to go to new places within India and abroad. And I think that the last mentioned item, financial resources, do play a role in that. And then I would, in the year of my retirement, I deliberately joined Rotary because I felt that Rotary would be a beacon, to be a source of serving for a purpose higher than one own's life. So I think, Anish, that whether it's a Freemason or a Lion or a Rotary, I think being a member of these kind of social organization will create automatically a desire in you to serve the community, the society, your friends, etc. And I think one of the last principles I would share is that to be positive and to have an open mind, because sometimes after work, we tend to compartmentalize our life. So long as you are open, I still talk every day of future trips with my morning walkers. Many of us we missed the tulip season in Srinagar this year. So we said, hey, in 2024, 1st of April, we will be in Srinagar and we'll catch the tulip season.
Wow. Great points, Ramanath. Great points. I think you talked about the moderation part, like, not too much of self-indulgence and, trying to have a moderate sort of a diet, which you said, like, having a balanced sort of a diet. You also highlighted that you need not do like go to some sort of a gym on a regular basis or do some sort of a, you don't have to have a crazy sort of a routine. You can simply walk, like a simple walk of, not even just don't forget about 10,000 steps also, as long as you are okay to walk as many steps as possible. But the consistency is very important, like the way you said, like you do a morning walk and then you do an evening walk. So the consistency is very important. You also talked about social connections or your friend circle, the family members. The connections which you create is going to actually help you to age gracefully. And I think you also talk about the financial stability and to pursue your hobby, like your travel, so that you have that sort of a cushion which you can use to, lead a very, relaxed sort of a life, and then also have funds available to pursue your hobbies and passion. And you also talked about contributing to the society.
Yes.
Joining some sort of a club, wherever you feel that you can add more value and you can actually, feel involved in some sort of a community development. That is also going to help you a lot. So I think these are really good elements of graceful aging, which you have highlighted. My next question is closely linked to what you just highlighted before, like, how important are social connections and relationship? How does that impact your ability to, age gracefully? I think you have already answered that, but maybe like a line or two on that would also help other people and listeners to, understand the importance of social connections and, having a buddy circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think after a purposeful working life, it's quite common for many of us to feel a little lonely when we stop getting up at the right time to catch the car or any other form of transport to check into the office gates and to again check out, So that itself creates a kind of vacuum in your life. And these could, and a kind of a detachment from pure working life is one of the reasons, I think, why when seniors age and we talk of how social relationships matter. So the kind of bonding which we have in the office among different peer groups and also the boss-subordinate relationship, I think these can only be substituted, like I mentioned in the earlier question, with a large social network and also a close family network. So I think that one of the ways to, one of the clues to insulate oneself against depression and also maintain our physical, mental health is to have a robust social network. And we mentioned that elderly people are not averse to technology, so we'll talk about it later, because the social network is today is I personally use only WhatsApp and email and FaceTime, but I'm not into Twitter and all the other apps which are available. But I'm sure many of my listeners are able to use those successfully. And
Yes.
I also believe that medical research has shown that loneliness is linked to a higher decline in cognitive functions, and it accentuates dementia, and also it increases the possibility of heart attacks and strokes and all that. So I think loneliness is a single major contributor to good health among seniors. And I think to combat that, we have to go back and we have to we have to step out and take the step. It's something like I'm a member of the Dignity Foundation when I crossed 60, and the Dignity Foundation has various web-based seminars, and they also have a social function called Chai Masti. And the Chai Masti is across 6 cities, and they have about 25 centers in India, where seniors like me can laugh, shake a leg, listen, sing, and they can also attend small talks like the one we are having today on Tai Chi, on yoga, on financial planning, on how to make a will. So Dignity Foundation is a great creator. And in the same line, joining a social organization may not be Rotary in particular. I mentioned Rotary because I have gained a lot in terms of what we mentioned about social connection and relationships. Many of the Rotarians become your friends for life. And each year, Rotary also holds an international convention and a domestic convention. And by attending these conventions, one also meets a whole bunch of new people other than the Rotarians in your own club. So I think that joining a social organization, keeping a social network, and also being open to maybe attending, like in Bombay, we have the NCPA and more recently the Nita Mukesh Ambani Cultural Center. These are centers for great opportunities for music, dance, and drama. So I think that I personally coax my walking members to join me in one of these events, but I definitely try to do 2 events a month, Anish, So, yeah, I think that's of great help. And there are always building events and there are community events. So I think one way to fight loneliness is to volunteer. I think just when you volunteer and tell people that I'm available.
I'm available, yes.
I'm available. I will do what can be done. I mentioned about having an open mind that whatever the project is, whether it is removing the garbage on the beaches after Ganesh Chaturthi immersion, or it is telling people not to pluck flowers in the morning walk. I'm sure that volunteering, I think, is a great thing to fight loneliness and depression.
Super. So I think you answered another question which I had, that how to beat loneliness and isolation as you grow older. So I think the points which you highlighted is like just taking a step, just saying that you are available to do a volunteer work, or trying to engage yourself, even striking a conversation with a stranger, all those sort of things just will make you feel more connected with other people, other human beings, and also to join a club, also to join some sort of a annual gathering where you're able to interact with people from different countries, different cultures. So you're expanding, you're not contracting your mind, you're expanding your mind. And that will help you in later years because you have so much things to share with other people. And that will become your wisdom, which which you can pass on to your next generation and, talk about what you learned. So that is also going to keep you active later on. So I think very good points there.
Can I just add one point? I remember I made a note to share that to tell all the listeners that life is hard. Just to keep on living is an act of courage. I strongly believe that you have to keep on living. You have to get up in the morning and rise and shine. Go for a morning walk. Come back, meet your friends. So, it's an act of courage. Yes. We cannot give up.
Yes, very true. Very true. Now, my next question is your thoughts on the role of technology in graceful aging, and how can technology actually benefit older adults? So what are your thoughts on
that? I would rather share my own experience. I feel that technology can be really beneficial to senior citizens and any elderly person. And one of the biggest tools I find in the context of our last conversation on how to beat loneliness and how to be socially active is that I find that most of my immediate family members are scattered all around the world. And my own daughter lives in UK. And I can't tell you how much pleasure my wife and I get in doing a daily FaceTime with my daughter and her daughter and my son-in-law over the 7 days. It just unfortunately, depending on the time zone, that when it is 4 o'clock in UK, it's 9:30 here. So it's a perfect post-dinner talk, and we just catch up on each other's lives as to what happened. So I think that is one, I would say, a very important benefit of technology, whether it is a video call in WhatsApp or it's a FaceTime video call. I think it helps us being in touch, and it can also extend to your WhatsApp group of people of your. I believe people make WhatsApp group of your alma mater, your schooling, your high college, your post graduation. So once in a while, audio is always on, but I think audio visual is of great importance. And I mentioned somewhere that most of us learned email while in work, but there may be some people who are not very conversant in answering, replying mails, and making attachments and all. But I think we can take the help of our neighbors, our buddies, and we can make mailboxes an excellent tool, because sometimes people are not available for audio talks. So the mailbox becomes a secondary factor, a secondary tool in communication. And the most popular, which you and I use, and I think billions of people use, is the WhatsApp. So I think we should, these are all, I think, technology factors which has helped us. And another way is that I have learned slowly how to store my financial documents on the email by creating folders. So at the end of the year, when you have to pass on papers to your chartered accountant, it's easy to group the data and mail it to him, and then he can go through it. And so the process of filing income tax returns, for which we are still eligible, and we are not exempt from filing income tax returns. I think that is another part of technology. And the other thing is that in many of my colleagues' houses, we have this sensor lighting. So the night when the elderly citizens have to, go to the washroom, instead of rummaging for the light switch, when they get up, I think the sensors get activated near your foot, and you have a pathway from your bed to the washroom.
Wow.
And also we have this bars in the washrooms, which is not a technological innovation, but it's a general industry innovation. So while you're having a shower or something, you can really hold on to the grab bar. I think it's called grab bar. Then you have the anti-skid tiles, and then I believe you have the motorized wheelchair. So you can even go from your house to the car to the mall, and you can be in the mall on your motorized wheelchair without bothering anybody. So I think I'm only sharing the tip of the iceberg, but I'm sure you and the listeners will probably have access to more technological innovations by which the life becomes simpler and easier.
Yes, certainly technology definitely helps us a lot. Like, imagine you speaking someone like 10,000 kilometers away, and you can just give a call, you can see them, you can see what's happening there, what's the weather over there like, and you can chit chat as if they are sitting next to you. Like, this is happening because of technology. And you said not only the there are mechanical innovations also. There are not only technological, but there are innovations which are happening day in and day out, which is going to make our life easy and more smooth. So it's better to embrace technology. And there are flaws in technology, but it's better to embrace it and use it to your level best as much as you can. Yes.
I had one last item to add in technology is that I find that maybe the last 2 years I stopped going to theaters because the movies are coming on OTT platform.
Exactly.
So isn't it a great advantage? There are many people who have difficulties in mobility and who cannot really go to a physical theater like we used to go 10 years ago. Today, Anish, with the OTT platform, I can see all the movies, not instantly, but maybe after a few months, they all come to the OTT platform. I think it's a boon, a technological boon to the to aging gracefully.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And you did mention about your daughter Amrita is staying in the UK, and your ability to, talk with your granddaughter on a daily basis, almost on a daily basis. It's like
Yeah.
it's like, it's obviously a benefit of technology. So good point there. Now, tell us something about that exclusion, because I know about that exclusion which you did at the age of 66. But tell the audience about your exclusion to the Antarctica, at like what inspired you, basically, what inspired you to do that at that age. So tell us something about
I think travel has always been my hobby, and I wanted to touch all the continents in the world. So right now, only Greenland is pending
it.
because I've touched the other continents, and Antarctica, or the White Continent, was always kind of a mysterious continent because there's no civilized population living there. The only people living there, Anish, are the research station staff, and I think they also are able to go home only once in 6 months. Some people stay some people go only once a year, because when the temperature goes to minus 67, minus 75, then they have to be cocooned in their specially built underground bunkers. So I believe that the transport, etc., the food, etc., is all provision for 6 months.
Wow.
And it was also, as I mentioned, a test of courage, because I had doubts about my physical ability to land in Antarctica and actually do an expedition. And unlike a tourist cruise, I opted for a regular Antarctica expedition, and it was a kind of a 9 nights, 10-day voyage from Ushuaia, which is the last port on the South American continent, where you do the Drake's Passage to reach Antarctica. And we were there, let us say, for 6 clear nights after the Drake's Passage. And this expedition provided for 2 landings in boats which are called zodiacs. And for that, you have to wear waterproof trousers, you have to wear long stockings, you have to wear boots, you have to carry the ice sticks, because the snow is light and soft, and invariably one leg will go in. So I did go for about a 3-month physiotherapy course before taking the Antarctica voyage. But it's marvelous, it's amazing. I would request all my listeners to go there. And it is something like, when I say the White Continent, it is inhabited by millions of penguins. I must have seen 1 million penguins, all age, size, all shapes, age, and sizes. And of course, then you see whales, and then you see sea lions and walruses, and you see albatrosses, and I can only say that it is so unique and majestic. It's so unique and majestic, and only a small portion of the world's population actually landed there. And I think that anybody who's fit and courageous, I would say, be bold and go ahead. And my next dream list is to go to the North Pole. That's my next plan in 2024.
Very good. I am actually inspired, and I will be certainly going to Antarctica for sure. Yeah, the thing which you have mentioned itself created that sort of a motivation in me. I'm certainly going to go there. Superb. I think at age 66, it's commendable. And I think you wanted to test your own strength. You wanted to check how physically fit you are. You did 3 months course of physiotherapy to make yourself fit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it shows your dedication. It shows that you want to explore. It shows that you want to go out of your comfort zone, break your comfort zone, stretch your comfort zone rather than breaking it, stretch it, and see what is possible, what's possible at this age. So I think that itself is an inspiration to the listeners. My last question to you would be, what are your top 3 pieces of advice for your younger self? If you have to give 3 advice to your younger self, what would those 3 advice be?
Well, I would say be active. I think when you get up in the morning, you must have a zest in you to climb out of the bed and do whatever you have to do, and then you step out of the house. So be active, step out of the house, keep moving, keep walking. And I think I would say be curious, have a sense of wonder, be humble that you are alive today, because many of us do not have the opportunity to live the night. So Anish, I would say be humble and grateful that you are alive when you get up in the morning, and then have a curiosity to say, what shall I do today? What new shall I do today? And how shall I make my day worthwhile? Can you put it that way? How shall I make the day which I got today, how shall I make it worthwhile? Wow. And then I would say just keep a balance between all the things which you have a desire to do and which you cannot do due to various constraints. Keep a balance, because ultimately life is a balance. And as each day progresses and you're active, you're well informed, you get out of the bed with a plan for the day, and you have a sense of purpose, you have a sense of commitment. Hey, you're done.
Wow. I think what you have mentioned, if I have to put the three advices, I would say A, B, and C. So stay active, okay, stay balanced, and stay curious. So I think that's a wonderful way to end our podcast interview today. It's a great honor to have you as a guest in this episode. You have given some really hands-on insights, something which you have lived, something which you have experienced. It's not that you are reading it from a book. You are telling your own experience and you are sharing it. You are helping so many individuals. I think you have traveled to almost 50 plus countries, if I'm not wrong. I think that's what you mentioned earlier. 50 plus countries, and you're looking forward to go to North Pole. You are always looking forward to something new, which itself shows that you are full of enthusiasm. You like to appreciate and be grateful to that you are still alive and you are living your life, and you wake up in the morning to see like what's next, what can I do today, how can I change the world for better. So it's a great thought. I really appreciate, Ramanath, your thought process, the way you have lived your life, and I think you are a perfect example for our episode of graceful aging, and your wisdom will be shared with many, and I think a lot of people are going to get inspired. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you, Anish, for having me on your podcast. It's been a great pleasure chatting with you and covering a spectrum of subtopics under the topic of graceful aging. And I'm delighted at the opportunity you gave me to express my views. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. Okay, take care. Yeah.